R.I.P. Nick Chubb's leg.
Let's just before we do anything,
Moment of silence.
moment of silence. Just God damn it.
Fuck!
God damn it. Dude, that could have
All right.
went any worse, huh?
It could have been anybody else, you know. Nope.
God damn it. I think we've been briefly talking about I've been actively avoiding talking about this game all week. I've been saving it for today. That was horrible. Defense looked pretty good outside of a few slip ups. We lost Nick Chubb for the season. He basically has no left knee anymore. And yeah, dude, it's extremely disappointing offensive performance. And the one thing that was the only saving grace for that entire game was Jerome Ford, and he's our second year running back up to Chubb, and now our starter. And having him as the highlight of the game was not good. It was not what we were looking for. I was hoping we'd have a little bit more to talk about on offense, but that was a rough outing for Deshaun Watson.
Yeah. I have different feelings about Deshaun as far as this game went. I felt that he put, from people that watched it on TV and from what I saw from seeing it at the game, is I felt that he played not that bad of a game. I do think he hesitated and held onto the ball a lot, kind of like Baker used to. But it just looked like the plays were taking too long to develop. I think I'm putting a lot of this on play calling.
Okay. Another big thing you got to put it on is 71. Could not block for shit.
What a bum. But
dude, he can't block. Like, he can't move, and it's like the play is longer than 2 seconds. He crumbles, and
he basically gave the game away.
Dude, DeJuan Jones played better, and he was blocking TJ Watt. TJ Watt played an incredible game and just absolutely wrecked the game. Like, he's a game wrecker. But dude, Jedrick Wills, dude, come on. Watson didn't have it much longer, but even then, that's not an excuse. Watson should be able to at least get the ball out, or at least scramble or do something. He looked sloppy.
He didn't even Deshaun didn't even drop back to a second step. If you go back and rewatch that strip sack.
Oh yeah, dude.
Alex Highsmith went untouched.
Yeah.
Untouched.
I watched it a few times. It
was one-on-one. There was no miscommunication. He just completely gave up on the play. He let the sack happen, and this what gets me. It's the effort.
Yeah.
He allows the sack, and it's a strip. He just stands there and watches the play.
Yeah, dude, and he looks like he doesn't even want to play football. And to have him as a starter, it makes me so upset. I would rather have literally anybody in there that just
put
gives
the fucking shit. Cone out there.
Yeah, dude, the cone would be much better than Jedrick Wills, dude. We got to track that cone down. Inside joke, but we track that cone down, and he'll play better than Jedrick Wills. Dude, honestly, at this point, just put in James Hudson. I don't give a shit. I really don't care. I don't care.
Honestly,
at least James Hudson. At least he cares. At least he wants to have a position. It's so upsetting. Just hands on his hips, not playing good. It's bad, man. It's really bad. And honestly, DeJuan Jones wasn't great, but what'd you expect? He had a lot of help, but it's TJ Watt, man.
This game really baffled me offensively, just because there was times that I was like, all right, Stefanski's calling a pretty solid game, but then he would do something boneheaded, like the opening drive and a half, not counting that first play. That first play, why are you going spread? Why are you motioning out Chubb? Yeah, why are we throwing the ball?
Why are you throwing on top? Why are you throwing the ball to Harrison Bryant? That dude does not deserve to be on this team.
Yeah.
Like we could have literally anyone else. But also like Jordan Atkins, just put him in, dude. Like there's no reason to have Harrison Bryant out there anymore. We know what he is. Get him out of here. Um,
Um, the
like that's Butterfingers. Like why? Like that shouldn't have happened. First play, dude. I was just telling you earlier. I was literally at like a cocktail party in San Diego for work, and I'm watching it on my phone, and I'm like, I almost just turned it off after that play. I was like, first play, that's what's going to happen. I mean, that really set the tone. Um, very upsetting.
yeah. The And then the next drive that came after it, they moved the ball very well and ended up putting up 3 points. But a lot of that drive, no 24 on the field. I do not get that. I just think Stefanski just tries to get too pretty in games like this where
Yeah.
we need to win. We need to
Yeah.
win the
Oh,
game.
Nick Chubb isn't on the field. What are we gonna do? Like,
Yeah,
come on, dude, you're not
you're
being.
not fooling anybody.
Yeah, stop being cute,
Um,
man. Like, just like and one thing, like I was watching the 49ers last night, dude. They fought for every fucking yard. They fought for every yard. They care about it. They're grinding, dude. Kittle's like stretching out to get every extra yard, bulldozing his way. McCaffrey, Debo, and I'm like, dude, like I don't know, like the effort when I watch a team like that just makes me get upset even more. And it's not that they're not trying, but like even with Kyle Shanahan, he's just calling the game how it needs to be called. And that's what it needs to be. That's all you need to do is win the game. Don't try to get cute. Like play to the strengths and just call the game how it should be called.
yeah,
It's such a like it gets on my nerves so much, and it's something that we've seen for the last few years, right? It's it's just a little aggravating.
it's
That's all
just
I have to say,
sometimes
guys.
you gotta play conservative sometimes. And Stefanski, I don't know if he's ever been conservative with this offense. I don't think he ever has. But it's just you gotta know you have to have some kind of awareness that your quarterback is struggling, your offensive tackles are struggling. Why are we passing the ball? This is the play that kind of blew my mind, and it comes back to this strip sack. Granted, Jed Wills played that play was awful for him, but um, you know Pittsburgh's offense was not moving the ball at all. Um, you got to trust your defense. It's 2nd and 9. Make it a 3rd and manageable. Your quarterback's been struggling. Your offensive line has had their hands full all game. It's a tough team to block on pass rushes. Run the ball. So what if
Yeah,
you gain a yard? So what? So what if you
yeah,
gain a yard? Run the clock.
yeah.
Worst case
Run.
scenario, you punt the ball. You punt the ball and you make them make a play. Well, guess what? They didn't make a play the whole game. They didn't run
No,
one play within the 30-yard line the whole entire game.
yeah.
That's a shot in the face to the defense.
Outside of that George Pickens touchdown, I mean, but
That was they were
but
running cover zero.
dude, that Steelers offense only had 9 points.
Yep. And they
You
had
know what the final score of that game was?
26-22.
26 points. Pick six and a fumble recovery for a touchdown.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's just it's definitely it's an aggravating game because I'm sure you can ask any Pittsburgh fan and they'll tell you that I mean, other than yanking off TJ Watt, even though I don't think he had that great of a game, um, as Alex Highsmith for me, I thought had the fucking lights out game.
Oh, how could you not,
Um,
though? How could you not? I
yeah,
mean, you're going against, a dummy.
yeah. They're gonna sit there and talk about how great the defense was, but you know what? I'm chalking this up as the Browns beat themselves
Dude,
in this game.
100%. 100%.
Um, I I personally believe that they could have opened up this whole game up 17-0. You take away a stupid play like that drop pass, and they started to pick it up around the third drive when they just started running the ball, and Pittsburgh had no answer for it,
No
no answer
answer.
for it at all. They
Big
were
chunk plays after big chunk plays.
Yeah, it was like 7 yards a carry. I mean, one drive, 4 yards for 20 yards. That's 5 yards a carry. Then
Yeah.
they broke it out on the next drive. I don't know. The defense played way too good to lose this game.
Dude, like the offense lost it, dude. The offensive line played terrible. Specifically,
Yeah,
said Dedrick Wills and said DeJuan Jones like held his own. To be honest with you, like I mean, he
yeah,
didn't do terrible. He really didn't.
yeah.
I mean, to
That's
go,
why.
it's your first full start ever in the NFL, and you're going to CJ Watt. Like you played
Yeah,
pretty damn well for holding your own against that. I mean, that's pretty.
yeah,
That's it's TJ Watt, man.
yeah.
But yeah,
That's
we lost that game because of ourselves. That offense couldn't hold it. I said Watson just looked confused. Uh, I don't know, man. It was a really rough week. I mean, all I can think about is we're at home this week against the Titans, and I don't know. I'm kind of over talking about this week. I just want to put it in the back of my head, not ever think about it again. The only
yeah.
good thing that, and this is not a good thing at all after the Nick Chubb injury, is we do have Kareem Hunt is back. So I'm very happy that we get to see Kareem again. I'm a big fan of Kareem. He'll be our number 2 back now behind Jerome Ford. And yeah, man, like so it's good to see Kareem back. I saw him in that walkout of the like onto the field. It was good seeing him again. So we'll see what happens. He should be playing on Sunday. Um, so
I'm
yeah,
I'm just curious with how things are going to go with Kareem back in the offense. I heard an interesting point on 92.3 The Fan. Um, they were talking about how maybe this is exactly what Stefanski wants. Um, and I know this sounds just absolutely crazy how that started, but just given that thought that we believe, and I'm sure you can agree that they're using Nick Chubb wrong. They weren't using
they
him
were.
enough. So maybe, just maybe, having a back like Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford is exactly what Stefanski wants in his offense. So I don't know.
Well, you need
I'm
a
trying to find.
we've
I'm trying to
no
find.
we've needed a receiving back, and
Yeah,
we preached that all offseason that we needed a receiving back, and we didn't sign one. We never signed one. Kareem Hunt is that receiving back that we've had for the last few years. We have him back. Like we saw it last week. We saw it the week before. They're trying to do dump passes to Nick Chubb, and Nick Chubb's and was one of the best running backs in the league, but he's just not the best at as a receiving back. So yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I mean, there was some missing element, to this offense last couple of weeks, and in my opinion, it has been Kareem Hunt, or any
yeah,
receiving back that we could have gotten all off season.
yeah,
So yeah, I think it's a good point. But yeah, we'll definitely see how it's utilized. I think it's going to be very similar to what we have been doing, right?
yeah,
Except Kareem just runs different.
yeah. But let's roll right into the Tennessee week. You got it was what my dad would call the big turd coming in, Derrick Henry, and
It's
a
because of
well
the
coached
hair.
team and Mike Vrabel,
Because
by
of the
Mike
hair.
Vrabel. Yeah, the
Okay,
big turd.
I figured.
Um, looking at this Tennessee team, they're one of those weird mystery teams. You don't know what you're getting out of them. They've been in the playoffs, but is that because they are in a very weak division? It's kind of hard to tell. Jacksonville just started to make their run, but I don't know. It's just a very tough team to really wrap your head around.
It,
Because I mean, not that long ago they were in the AFC Championship,
yeah,
and then now they're kind of who they are. Um,
yeah, we
that
kind of know what Tannehill is with them. We know who Derrick Henry is. They
yeah,
got obviously, I mean, they have DeAndre Hopkins now. Traylon Burks has kind of been okay. But the thing is, I mean, we saw the big thing about this year with them is we've had the tale of two teams, really. It's like the week one Tennessee Titans were atrocious. Tannehill, no touchdowns, 3 picks. And then this past week, they beat the Chargers in overtime. So
Killed my parlay.
I bet, yeah. But I really just don't know what this team is. They're pretty beat up on their offensive line. And we'll see how that goes. Hopefully our defense has been really good on our defensive line can really expose that, really stop Derrick Henry. Because then if you leave it up, you knock out Derrick Henry and you just leave it up to Ryan Tannehill. I don't have much faith in that.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But also the defensive line on their end has been pretty nice. It's been pretty nice.
Yeah.
They're actually like the defensive line is like ranked like first right now.
Yeah.
When I look at like when it's like, start Jerome Ford, I picked him up as one of my sleeper picks, and it's like a Tennessee #1. So it's like they're like, advertising not to start him. And I'm like, okay, well, see what happens because we're gonna need Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt to play nice. So that's it's a very unique matchup.
Yeah. I do believe that it starts on minimalizing Derrick Henry and kind of making things tough for Ryan Tannehill. I think that our defense is very capable of that, but I think this is honestly the first test they have against the run this year. Not to take away from Joe Mixon or Najee Harris, but they're not very run-heavy teams, unlike the Tennessee Titans. I think the Browns have done a good job in the years past against Derrick Henry. But this is why you went out and got the big D tackles. And I think they've showed out in every game so far. So just continue that. Keep them on. Keep them on. What did Jim Schwartz say? Keep them on I-71, not I-90. Or was it the other way around? Did you hear about that?
I didn't hear about this. No.
All right, keep them going east to west, not north and south.
Okay.
So, you don't want him getting downfield. Make him run to the sidelines because he's not very good when he's running sideline to sideline. He's a straight runner. This is where I think the Browns could do a solid job. And it's just like I'm not completely worried about the defense, but it's still something that we need to keep our eyes on. Mm-hmm. Offensively, I think this is where all of our keys of the game go.
Yeah, I 100% agree with you.
And I think it's just Deshaun, get yourself back in the game.
Now, these are the Royal Donuts you're talking about, yeah.
Yeah, these are Royal Donuts keys of the game. All right. Deshaun has to get things back together. You can give him the pass that every quarterback in the league right now is playing very poorly. There's not one that's lights out right now. Not even Patrick Mahomes. If you go down the stat lines, everybody's having a pretty average game. I think Brock Purdy probably had the best game of the year so far for a quarterback. Yeah. Which is kind of crazy to me, but
I hate to say the other one.
Yeah,
that's been really good.
You best believe
is Baker Mayfield.
Oh, Baker Mayfield, yeah. Baker's having a great year, but
he is.
It's just show us why we traded the house for you. I don't think it gets any more crazy than that. Show us that you're still Deshaun. God bless you.
Thank you.
Ooh. And then I think the second Royal Donut key of the game is just get Kareem and Jerome Ford in the game. Just get them going.
Get them rolling, man. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It's huge.
I mean, you just said this is one of the better run defenses in the league, but you know what? Take it to them. Take it to them. That's what football's about. Don't be scared. I could see Stefanski calling a whole passing game because this is the worst ranked passing defense in the league.
Exactly.
So
But
I could
I also feel
see
like
that coming.
once you get the offense rolling with the run, I feel like that opens up a lot of stuff. We've seen it in the last few years with Stefanski. Like if you get the ball rolling on the ground, that opens it up because then like they got a beat up defensive line, and then you can keep throwing the ball, and then you got to keep them guessing after that. I mean, that's I feel like we've done that time and time again, but then we just get away from it for some reason, and we don't do it for weeks. And then we're like, oh, we do it. And then we're like, wow, that worked really well. Like, why did we stop doing this? So I think that's a really key part of the game is just getting Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt, rolling.
Yeah, and then I think the final well done key to the game is keep it simple, stupid. Specifically for Stefanski. We don't gotta get all cute. I get you want to see what the defense is showing you, but this is keep it bland for a little bit. I mean,
Hey
it's
man,
not that hard.
2-1 looks a lot better than 1-2. That's all I'm saying.
Exactly. Like you got a little too cute last week, and it ended up costing you a game. Um, just you got to have a better feel for the game. Um, you got to know when to run the ball. You got to know when to pass the ball. When's the right time? And I feel like it just has not been there. Um, I think you got to have a really good comeback game after last week because that was a very rough one. So I guess that kind of detours into
Yeah, some
our
cowtails, yeah.
cocktails for the week. So go
All
ahead, Mike.
right, well, starting number one off, man, Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford has to get number one because I think this is a huge space that is a big void that is left by Nick Chubb. And we saw glimpses last week, right? We saw a 70-yard touchdown run. He had 106 yards total, played very well. I want to see as the first ever full start as number one receiver or running back to just show why you're the number one and really take charge and be that gap of being like, okay, like this is yes, Nick Chubb's out for the season, but you have me. I think that it's going to be huge. And I think he needs to prove himself a little bit more to Browns fans to really truly invest and trust him. So I think this is the week to do it. And I also think it's the same thing. I think running backs can really take charge with, it's your first start. If you just hit it hard and you have an awesome game, it's 2 weeks back to back. I mean, you can roll from there, I mean, I think it's one of those positions very similar to how like receivers are where some people just get in a groove, and I think this is a great game to one, show a fan base who you are, and two, get in your groove. So that's my first cocktail, Jerome Ford. I'm going to take the second one, if you don't mind as well, because this dude really, 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 really needs to step it up so we can win some games. That's Deshaun Watson. Man, dude, like, I know you didn't have a lot of time to throw the ball last week, but you gotta play well. You gotta play good. You gotta make this team believe in you. You gotta make this fan base believe in you. You just gotta go out there and play like the Deshaun Watson we saw, in Houston. We haven't seen in Cleveland. I mean, this is gonna be game number 9 with him, right? I mean, we need to see something. We haven't seen nothing, man. You have 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks, and a passer rating of like 66 or something. Like, let's just have one of those games that like we see why we did what we did to get you, right? Let's see Deshaun Watson play football because we have not seen it yet. So those are my 2. To round it out, who's your last one?
Well, I like to break mine up into 5 here.
Jesus.
And that you know how I like my offensive line, and I think the game starts in the trenches this week. It's a big matchup, where you can rank us in the top 5 in offensive line. I don't know if that's still the thing now, if we're still a good offensive line. I don't even know anymore.
Debatable.
I believe in the middle 3, but the tackles. Nothing against the one. That's more so because he's new.
Yeah.
Um, and then that other guy that's just there.
I'm telling you, I wouldn't hate seeing what James Hudson does. And I'm just saying, I know he's not the
Yeah,
best.
I
I know
wouldn't
he's not
mind
the
James
best,
Hudson there
but
either.
like at least he cares about the game because that was an atrocious
Yeah,
game last week.
yeah.
And spicy take, but I know.
But they have a tough matchup this week with Jeffrey Simmons, Harold Landry III, and Dimitri Autry, and a pretty solid linebacking core. It's going to be a tough game for them, and it starts with them. There's no the offense is like goes through them.
Mhm.
Whether it's the passing game, you saw what happens when the pass rush is getting to the quarterback or pressuring them. You saw what happens. Um, and then you also see what happens when they succeed. They take over games. So I think it starts with them and that
Mhm.
offensive line. But I think we're pretty solid. I think it's time to go to our favorite segment of the show,
Favorite
our Mike
one.
Lewis real estate games of the week. Um, I like to start with mine with one of my favorite teams, and I think it's going to be a very interesting game. And it's the Atlanta Falcons heading to Motor City to face the Detroit Lions. Um, both teams are playing very well. They're not both like super good, but they came out the gate really tough. The Lions lost in a heartbreaker in overtime to Seattle last week, and Atlanta once again uh, winning a game that no one really thought they would win. I mean, they beat Carolina. I think that's not a tough appointment, but winning in the last minute against Green Bay with a Packers team that's been playing very good again under Jordan Love.
Yeah.
Um,
No
so
Aaron Jones though.
right, I think this is going to be a very solid game to watch. Very slept on, but I'm excited for it.
Mhm.
So go ahead, Mike.
Yeah,
I know
mine
you got a good
is
one.
the 2-0 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Baker Mayfield, versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I think this is going to be a very interesting game, um, to see what they're really made out of. What Tampa Bay really is, and can they stand against a Super Bowl team last year, right? And they look just as good as they did last year with a couple of hiccups. But well, I think this is going to be an interesting game. Mike Evans has been playing incredible. Godwin, like they have a stacked team still, and Baker's at the helm. So I think this is a big test for them, and I think this will really prove to a lot of people, is Tampa Bay real? Um, and and and
Reader.
and if they, and if they aren't, we'll really see, Philadelphia is like, we got it again. We can really keep rolling. So that's my game. I'll watch all the games though. Honestly, I'll try to watch a ton of games basically the weekends now. Um, but predictions, how are you feeling? What's your thoughts and prediction of this week?
Well, they got the Browns favorites as -3.5. That's a little
Yep.
higher than they had last week.
Yeah, last week
Um,
was 2.5. Yeah, or 1.5.
yeah, it went from 1.5 to 2.5.
Okay. Yeah, I thought
Yeah,
so.
it was a little small jump, but just a little rally up. Uh, but I think I'm gonna go with a weird scoring game again with 17-16 Browns.
Okay, nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I don't think it's going to be a high scoring game. I think both offenses are going to struggle against some pretty good defenses. I think the only thing is if Deshaun shows up, we can really start throwing the ball and stretching the field. I think that's where we're going to start to be able to like pull out of a close game. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close one, man. I'm going to go 17-14. Um, Browns, just because I have to,
No.
just because I have to. But I mean, man, like I really, so I placed my bets, and um, I usually place a bet like once a week of like a bunch of like who I think is going to win. You know, it's kind of like a low bet, like $5-10, but it's like who I think is going to win out of like all the games. And I could bet on this one, so I just don't have faith in this Browns team at the moment. You know, I just haven't seen anything in them that is like, yeah, they can beat this team that is also a big question mark. And that's what concerns me, right? Both these
Yeah,
teams are so similar in the way of like, I don't know what they are yet 2 weeks into
they're
the
very
season.
inconsistent.
So, you know, I think this game is very important in multiple different ways, but I think this game is very important in the Browns getting their legs and being able to be like, wow, we just, you know, say we smoke the Tennessee Titans going into a week that we got the Baltimore Ravens, right? Like that's very important to do. We don't want to go on a 2-game losing streak going to Baltimore. So I do think the Browns are going to win this one, but I think there's a lot of things that need to happen and a lot of people that need to show up. And if that doesn't happen, I mean, this is a game we can easily lose. So, yeah, that's
Oh, I'd
I'm
even throw
kind
it a
of
weird 13-7 game, like something like that. Like I
yeah.
can see
There's
it being just a straight up defensive game.
I agree, and I said I really think it's like who can stop the run and who's going to have to pass. Um, so yeah, we'll see. Fingers crossed, there's no more injuries. And Nick Chubb, we're praying for you, bud. Best of luck with everything. Hope to see you back better than ever next year. And I have a tear in my eye. Well, as we conclude, thank you, everyone. Until next week, go Browns.
Go Browns.